All right, Lagos. Indeed, a swell time to be here on a Monday evening. And if you just tuned in, hey, it's time to share your thoughts on the marketplace on a Monday. It's a money-making Monday, and I love the conversation we're going to be having this evening. If you do not have any knowledge about intellectual property, well, here's where you can. And this is a shout out to all.
Me? Okay.
A lot, you actually have a lot to take in and help yourself. Don't get into any conversations without the right resources or having the right knowledge. That's the word. It's just having the right knowledge. And today on Marketplace, we will be discussing intellectual property and the laws meant to actually protect it from small, medium, and then big firms. And as always, you can be a part of Marketplace today. Yes, you can share your thoughts with us. WhatsApp is 0911 999 0981, as well as on YouTube. We're at youtube.com/smooth Lagos 98 smooth 981 FM Lagos, rather. That is where you want to go watch and see what we look like. It's a Monday, right? Anyways, I have joining me this evening the one and only Lara Coyote. She is the founding partner at O.Kayode and Co. And it is a pleasure having you with me. Ah, good
Thank you for
evening.
having
Good
me.
evening.
Good evening. Good evening again, Joy.
All
Thank you.
right. Glad. And Lagos, when I saw the topic, when we're birthing this topic, it was, certain people don't realize that um they need guidance when it comes to the intellectual property. It's just it's not for me. I don't need to bother my head about all those things. So it is great to have you share this insights and help the budding ones know what it is they need to understand when it comes to intellectual property, and how the law can also protect them, what it is they need to first get in through the door without having been ripped off. And one of the things that I like to get us on is in Nigeria, right? We understand that Nigeria's intellectual property system is built around some statutes. One, Copyright Act; two, Patent and Design Act; and three, Trademark Act. But I'd just like us to start off with explaining what those things actually mean and
Hmm.
helping Lagos at least break them down so we know
Okay.
where to start from.
Sure thing. Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you once again for having me on tonight. And hello to your listeners. So like you stated, so IP is really a bundle of rights. Intellectual property is
Mm,
a bundle of rights. So you find
mm,
that in one for want of a better word, property, you
okay.
probably have different bits so it's not one size fits all. So I'd say to you, you've asked about the Copyright Act. So the Copyright Act was originally enacted as a decree in 1988, then later codified in the laws of the Federation in 2004. Today, 2025, we have the Nigerian Copyright Act 2022. This was signed into the law in the early 2023. It's a principal legislation to protect the rights of creators
Okay.
in respect of their original works. Now, what does that
Mm,
mean? Original works, what does it give them? What does the Copyright Act do? It gives you exclusive rights and gives you remedies against infringement. So the Copyright Act 2022 is probably, I call it the darling of intellectual property. Copyright is our darling because it's the most, am I audible? Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? You're frozen, Joy. Am I frozen? Let me swap internets. Am I back? Hello. Hello. Yeah, she's gone. Hello. Are you back? Was I frozen or were you frozen? You're muted. You're muted, Joy.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Was that me or was that you?
Yeah, it was from your end. It was,
Ah,
I don't know what happened. You
yes.
were muted, you were frozen for a bit.
So you were also frozen. So I changed network.
Okay,
Ah,
okay.
the beauty
Thankfully,
of
we're back.
yes. So we're back. So as I was saying, I
Right.
wonder where it goes. So I said copyright. The Copyright Act, 2022 is the most modern of IP sets of IP laws that we have. I call
Okay.
copyright the darling of intellectual property because she, as I call her, is the most modern. She's the most up to date of all the laws that
All the
protect.
laws.
Yes, so it's so what 2022 Act has done is really expand the scope of protected works to include digital and online content.
Mm,
Um, gives creatives and creators economic and moral rights, over their work. So the kind of rights that are protected under the Copyright Act, economic rights. So it gives you the right to reproduce, the work, distribute copies, perform or communicate the work in public,
mm,
adapt it or translate it to work, just to make the work available online or on demand. It also
okay.
gives you moral rights, which are personal rights of authors and performers.
Right.
So they have the right to be identified as an author, as a performer. They have a right to object to derogatory treatment of their work, or
Mm.
performance. So when I go to movies, half once a movie is ended, everyone pretty much gets up, except it's a Marvel movie and you're a Marvel buff,
Ah,
and then you wait if
yeah.
you know there's something else coming up. But usually people go off. And many years ago, a friend of mine said to me, imagine if your brother or sister or somebody was, even if it's just the not even makeup artist, just a part of the movie, their name would come up
The
and you would
credits, yes.
see their name in the credits.
Mm,
So they have that right to use a moral right, regardless of what your role is. And then the Act also protects performance rights.
okay.
Their rights are granted over, their live
Mhm.
and recorded performances. So you have the right to control fixation, recording of it, reproduction, broadcasting, communication to the public, and the right to, equitable remuneration. So this act, that's why I call it darling of
I
all the
like this. I like how.
really open it up.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
there's rights in sound performances, sound recordings and broadcasts, to protect the rights of sound recording producers, control production, reproduction, and distribution. So the duration of this protection depends on the kind of rights that is being protected. So for economic rights, literary, musical, artistic works, you have life plus 70 after the demise of. So when the author dies, he has 70 more years protection. So it's something that you can pass on to your heirs.
Hmm.
Remember, it's property of
Hmm.
your mind.
Right.
Yeah, so joint authorship, after the death of the last surviving author, government and corporate work, 70 years at the end of the first publication.
Okay.
Photographs, same as above. So it used to be limited to 50 years. It's now 70 as well. Moral
Okay.
rights are during the lifetime of the author or performer, and they continue at least 70 years after death.
Mm.
Performer rights is 50 years. Rights in sounds and recordings and broadcasts is also 50 years. So you find that, you from the end of the year, which for sound and recordings, end of the year, which the sound recording was first published or
Okay.
made.
Okay.
Now, how is this, how do you protect copyright? Because we're a common law jurisdiction, ordinarily, the minute you create, you get protection. However, as a lawyer, I'm wearing my lawyer
Hmm.
hat, as always, I say to you, try to register a notification at the NCC.
Okay.
So at least if a dispute does arise, you
Mm.
have trail, you have some sort of documentary evidence that you
Right.
own, the copyright.
Mm.
Next, you asked about patents and
Yes.
design. So, so what does patents do? We have an act. It's under the laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, obviously as amended. However, the Patents Act and the Design Act are not as darling as the copy.
Oh my word.
Yeah, so I'll say let's say the patents and designs we're looking at 1970. Um,
Ouch.
yeah, so it governs protection of inventions, industrial designs in Nigeria. So what is it that it protects? So the patent, for you to get a patent, your invention must be new. It's got to be novel. Okay? It's
Okay.
new.
Okay.
Result in inventive activity and capable of
Mm.
industrial application. So it gets a bit technical. And it gives
Yes.
you the right, an exclusive right also, to make it, to use it, to sell it, to assign it, to import it, to do whatever you want with it. It's
Okay.
like, imagine I say to um to potential IP owners, if you had a plot of land in a very exclusive part of town, the first thing you would do is to check ownership and then register, even before you pay. Be sure that you're not
It is
being
not in the duped or,
having
cajoled into buying a piece of property that has
somebody else.
litigation on it.
Correct.
Mm.
So you have that property, you can assign it, you can do whatever. I can have a piece of land in wherever it is and decide that, you know what, I want to assign it to a developer. And he can do with it for 25 years.
Right.
And if I have a 50-year lease, it means that at the end of the 25 years, I can come back to him and say, look, what's going on? Do you want to renegotiate your lease? Or, so you can do the same thing with your intellectual property. It's just that there's a time limit within which you can do this. For patents,
Okay.
it's 20 years. So you have protection for 20 years, maximum of 20 years from your filing date, subject to the payment of your annual renewal fees. So you must renew.
Mm.
It's not just you dump it
One
and then you
off.
run away, go with the fairies. No. So you have to renew it.
Okay.
The design right protects ornamental or aesthetic appearance of a product. So a shape, a pattern, a color, a way in which it's presented.
Okay.
Provided it's new, it must be new, not contrary to
Okay.
public order or morality. And
Mm.
it gives you this registration. Once you get it, gives you exclusive rights. Now in the protection, the duration of protection is not as long as patents.
Longest.
It's initial period of 5 years and then
Okay.
further consecutive periods of 5 years, make two consecutive periods of 5 years, making 15 years. So your industrial design is registered for and protected for 15 years, so provided obviously you renew it, and of course, infringement of these rights allows you as a right holder to seek civil remedies, including damages and injunctions. So that's, with patents and designs.
Okay.
Trademarks. Now,
We'll come to
that's good.
trademarks in a bit because we have a
Okay.
quick breather coming up, and I wouldn't want us to lose. Say, I'm
The
enjoying
momentum.
this. I
Okay.
I already have some extra questions I want to ask, but Lagos, I'm sure you're also as glued as I am. You hear these things. Oh, okay. Have you, when you're hearing the amounts that you have to be paying regularly, makes you wonder. Intellectual property is not a play thing, but we'll get to all that in a few seconds. As always, you're tuned in to Smooth 98.1, the Mother Muscle. So have a quick breather, and just for a minute, we'll get back in.
No worries at all.
I'm enjoying this too much.
Oh, good. Now, I see that we don't really have a lot of time, and there's so much, but it's okay.
I
Um,
know. Well,
it's
that's what happens when you're having great conversations like this,
I know,
honestly.
right? Yeah. And so how long have you been an OAP?
Generally 8 years.
Awesome. Good.
This wasn't my first rodeo, so yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask, so did you know that this is what you always wanted to do?
Yes, for me, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I started doing this, or I aspired for this since when I was in primary school. And in primary school, fortunately, my school back then, primary school had a children's program on FRCN. So that
Oh,
was my first foray into.
awesome. Yeah, well, as a child, I wanted to study, as a young person, I studied mass communication. But in my day, the only thing they knew about mass communication was that you will read the news. So my parents said, you're gonna go study, go and do something else. Then you come back and do, but of course, by
And
the
then
time,
we can now have that conversation as to whether you want to actually do this. I
in
can
our
imagine.
day, it's like, go on, you have to be a professional. That was it. You have to go and be a professional. Go and get a professional qualification. Okay. And I'm told now that the jobs that our children are going to do haven't even been invented. So that's
That's
so
where we are.
mhm.
They get to invent their things right now. And I mean, I'm happy for them.
Yes,
The world's an oyster, and they just need to figure out how it works out.
correct. Absolutely.
Being an adult, I always tell my people who are around me, don't be an adult too quickly. Enjoy the stages. They don't get it.
Absolutely.
They don't get
Why do
it.
you
No,
have to rush
I want
to
to
be an adult?
get
I'm like, adulting is
expensive.
responsibility does come.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
All right, Lagos. Yes, you are still tuned into Marketplace on Smooth 98.1. And today we're talking about the state of intellectual property law in Nigeria. Do you even know what it means to protect your intellectual property? Well, my guest in the person of Lara Kayode, she is the founding partner at O.Kayode and Co. And she's been giving great insight. Now I understand what it is to when you say copyright, there's a difference. Patent, oh yes, a huge difference. Even the Design Act, who knew that if you scribble in a certain way, you can actually just save that? And it's amazing what you know only if you do find and do your research properly. But yes, you can be a part of Marketplace today. Share your thoughts or questions that you might have on WhatsApp. The number is 0911 999 0981. 0911 999 0981. That is the number you want to share your thoughts on WhatsApp, and I will definitely take whatever questions or observations that you've noticed. Okay, still, we had spoken a bit about copyright. We talked about patents and designs. Yeah, so is it yet to touch on trademarks? What does that even mean when we say we're trademarking something? I know what it means literally, but
Mhm.
in this aspect of intellectual property, can you help
Mhm.
us break it down?
Okay. So that's probably this trademark is probably the most commonly, honestly, I would say the most commonly abused word in IP.
Yes.
So I'm going to trademark it. I trademarked it. I trademarked my, can I patent my trademark? So but what is a trademark really? So the trademark really is the act, the act, we'll talk about the act, of course. So the act is the Trademarks Act of 1967, which really is based on the United Kingdom 1938 Trademarks Act. And I hope we get some time to talk about that because I've deliberately mentioned, those
That.
years.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Nigerian Trademark Act regulates, registration, protection, and enforcement of trademarks in Nigeria. What is a trademark? It's a visible sign used to distinguish goods and services of a business from another, and the act aims to protect brand identity,
Mhm.
prevent consumer confusion in the marketplace. If I asked you today, what's a trademark, you will give me an example, I'm sure, There's also something, I've talked about services. So there's a service act, service mark protection as well that you can get. So that's for services. So for
Mm-hmm.
banks, if I said to you, and I don't know, nobody's sponsoring me. I'm just giving an example that comes to the top of my head. If you see the orange box, if I say
You
you this
already know
orange,
what.
you know what
Mm.
it is. If I say the color yellow with regard to a telecoms company,
Telecoms.
you know where to
Mm.
go. So if I, do you
Right.
understand? So those are services. So they're not really, they're not, it's not trade, but it's a
Traded, but
service.
you understand
So
what
you
they
understand what
signify.
that,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So the service marks, were included through an administrative action in 2007,
Okay.
and more recently the Section 69 of the Business Facilitation Act, whereby trademark protection is now extended to include services, by amending the definition of goods under the Act to include services. So that's what a trademark really is, a indication of source. If I was going to make it simple, so how do I know where this product has come from? I see your name, I see your logo, I see the design, I know it's yours. So
Mm.
it kind of it
Stamp.
identifies, it's a stamp of identification,
Mm.
and also to prevent confusion with the consumer. And what do you get with it? Exclusive use of
Mm.
your mark. And you can use it exclusively. You can decide, like I said earlier, remember I talked about the property. You can license it, you can assign it, and you can sue for unauthorized use of it. If there's a confusingly similar mark, you can sue for that as
Okay.
well. And so it's important, though, that you maintain it. Like anything else, you must maintain. And the beauty of trademarks is probably one of the ones I say when I talk about it, initially you renew it after the first 7 years under the current law, and
Okay.
then 14 years subsequently until eternity. So if
Okay.
you don't renew, you lose
Someone
it.
else.
You snooze, you
You.
lose. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
Now that one is the very tricky one because people could just be waiting in the corners that you never can
Yeah.
tell.
And there's
Ah.
also, there's also a non-use provision within the
Oh.
Trademarks Act,
Oh.
actually.
Okay.
Yes. The Trademarks Act does, provide for a situation where you've registered it, but you haven't used it. Um,
Okay.
in the US, you have to file an intention to use, an intent to use. Here
Oh. Okay.
in Nigeria, we don't do that, but there is a provision. So
Okay.
it's important, once our laws are really updated and really enforced properly, then we will get a lot of action in that regard.
So that means a lot of people who are just
Sitting,
use yeah, they
so
don't
you
know what
can't,
it is.
yeah, so you can't, sometimes you're just sitting on your brand, just waiting. And you can't just sit on it. You can't, because really what you get when you protect these rights is a monopoly, pretty
True,
much a
true,
monopoly. So you're
true.
the landlord of this property, and you can do with it as you
As
wish,
you please.
provided you maintain
Mm.
it. But if you don't maintain it and you're not really using it, you're preventing somebody else from going ahead and making, doing
A
business.
killing from, or yeah, well, more or
And
less.
that's really, in some climes would be called anti-competitive. So that's another area. Yeah.
Okay, okay. At least I think before it used to be one company alone. I would say alone, but there was usually used to have just one brand for sugar and cement, but now we have like different people in that sector,
Yeah.
making it
But
more
yes, so and the
competitive.
way trademarks go is, it's how you protect your trademark. You decide on a class. So your class, there's a classification of goods. So if your
Okay.
goods fall within those classes, goods and services, then you protect within that class. Now, if you're not going to um you're not going to use your product in a particular class, and you're
Okay.
just registering to prevent other people from, doing that, then
Mm.
problem. Yeah. So you give us more work to do. And so I like that type of work.
This is the first person I'm hearing that likes work. No, we want to just relax and enjoy life.
I yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's even get into I I know that the well, in some corners, I've heard that the federal government is on the verge of launching a comprehensive national intellectual property policy and strategy. Like I said, still sketchy at the moment, but what can you tell us about it? And
Okay,
I
so
don't know if it's a way you can bring in the conversation of the years British one you were talking about earlier.
okay, so the because we're a common law based jurisdiction, a lot of
Okay,
our laws, and because of our colonial past, a lot of our laws are really originally were literally copy and pasted from the
the
UK,
colonial, yeah.
from the UK. So the Trademarks Act, for instance, as it stands, is really pretty much word for word, apart from, sections and the regulations,
Okay,
based on the 1938 Act, which in the UK was repealed in 1994 to when they joined the EU directive. So there's, and now I think that they're now back out of EU. So, all of
they've come
that.
back.
You can imagine. So, there's a lot of change, which is why I talked about the copyright law. Copyright law is
Right.
really, I mean, it's not the best. It's
It
not like,
has
oh,
evolved
sure, a copyright,
somewhat.
a practitioner somebody who does copyright day in, day out, to say, look, there's so much more. But I always say to my colleagues in the copyright space, guys, you guys are ahead, way ahead of us. So please just, take your flowers and clap for yourselves. Now, the reason why our laws haven't been updated, trademark patterns and design, is not for want of trying. I mean, because we've worked on various bills, various,
Okay.
regulations, various acts have been drawn up, but we get to bottleneck and it just it doesn't move forward. Now, and really, it's essential that we talk about the benefits of these laws
Mm-hmm.
to industry, because ultimately, industrial property is patents, designs, and trademarks, and intellectual property now involves copyright. Because remember what I said when we did the definitions: inventive activity, industrial application is applied to businesses, applied to goods and services. So the industry benefits from having up-to-date acts if we can, get onto it. Now, the NIPS, the National Intellectual Property Policy and Strategy. Um, it's probably our most up-to-date, comprehensive IP policy and strategy. It's in
Okay.
line with global trends, and we have the World Intellectual Property Organization's support. The objectives really is to harmonize the outdated laws, address digital piracy, expand protections, including, traditional knowledge, genetic resources, geographical indications, and trade secrets, and
Mm-hmm.
foster commercialization of these acts. See, look, there's no point in having property that you cannot monetize. There's no point in having property that you cannot benefit from, even if it's landed property. No matter how far away it is, out in the sticks it is, there's somebody somewhere who needs it, who's ready to pay for it, and who should be able, you, the owner, should be able to benefit from it. What does it cover? The NIPS covers copyright, patents, designs, trademarks, plant varieties, traditional knowledge, folklore, and databases. The recent
Mm-hmm.
steps, yes. So we've had, like you said earlier, the federal government, yes, I mean, the current, so the governing ministry for intellectual property is the Ministry of Trade and Investment, jointly with the Ministry of Creative Industry, Creative, I think, Culture and Arts. So you find, like I said, IP is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
IP, you find a bundle of rights in one bit of of property. You have to you can't do it alone. So I know it's a joint effort by the various ministries to ensure that we have a comprehensive policy. And some of the things, like I said, it covers copyrighted works, patents for inventions, industrial designs, trademarks, service marks, traditional cultural expressions and folklore, traditional knowledge, plant variety, GIs, geographical indications,
Okay. Okay.
trade secrets. And now, what are geographical indications? I just want to talk about it quickly. Geographical
Okay.
indications are rights that emanate from um, places, from places being a source of a product or a service.
Okay.
So in Nigeria, when you think of a particular type of pepper, and I'm not going to mention,
Ah, okay. I
when
see
you
what
think
you mean.
when you think of there's a grain that we love in southwest part of Nigeria. It's meant to, it's sour. It's
Mm,
from that particular part of Nigeria. So
hmm
it has, if I say it's from Ijebu, you know what I'm talking about. So
Yes.
if I talk
Ah.
about fabric,
Oh,
it's indigo. It's made from originally from a particular. So you
I
see what
already
I'm
know where you're going.
so now,
Okay.
and I'm actually going to talk about that indigo fabric. I'm going to talk about adire. The reason why it's called adire is adi, we tie it and we soak it. So we
In
don't
that.
in indigo, in
Ah.
dye, so for those of us who did in those days, we did
And
art, fine arts, and
yes,
stuff.
and craft. Mm-hmm.
They taught us, you tie it with twigs, there's white fabric, and then, but there is a skill, there is a source of it, and that deserves to be protected. In the Western world, for instance,
Ah,
there's a
okay.
beverage. You cannot call your alcoholic fizzy alcoholic beverage champagne if it does not come from the Champagne region in France. It's protected. It's a geographical indication. It
Ah,
indicates the geographical area from which that product has come from. So we have a geographical indication law bill, ready to be passed. Fingers
mm.
crossed. We hope it is because there's so much that we're leaving on the table. We hear,
Honestly.
this fabric is being printed, plated with a plate. That's not
Mm-hmm.
authentic. So the authenticity of what we own deserves to be protected, and IP can be used to do that. Um, as a nation, we have
Right.
so much on the table that we're leaving money on the table. Let's just put it that way. So we're not saying you can't do it, but if you're going to do it, you will get a license. You will get, and if you can't do it, you can't do it. Fizzy wine from um, Italy is Prosecco. Fizzy
Yes.
wine from Spain is Cava.
Fuck.
Fizzy wine from Paris, from France, is Champagne, because of the region that it comes from. So those are the things that, I want to put out there, the things that we
Okay.
have to deal with. And the policy really addresses a lot more than our
Then
laws
what?
do. So if we do that, if we get the policy out there, then at least we can literally get the ball rolling and we can catch up. For the sake, really, my motto is Nigeria first, always Nigeria first. And what's in it for Nigeria? That's what we must do, and that's why the policy must really be passed. And we're really hopeful that it will.
There's so much that we need to talk about. We
Yeah,
we barely scratched the surface, but
I know.
like I said, time flies when you're having like
Um,
so much great conversation. I am looking at how we can have you back so we can continue this conversation, pick it up from where we left off, because like I said, we've not even touched anything.
we
But
haven't.
we have to call it an evening today on Marketplace. How can
Mhm.
Lagos and those who are listening world over, get access, well, reach out to you or get more knowledge about what we've spoken about, your social media handle that they can reach out to
Okay,
you.
I mean, we're online, www.okayode.com, on LinkedIn, same firm name, Instagram, because I find that we get a lot more inquiries. My name, Lara Kayode. However, if you really want to have, it's really IP based, we'll
Okay.
respond to you quickly. It will be at Lady IP Lawyer on
Okay.
Instagram,
Okay.
at Lady IP Lawyer on Instagram. On LinkedIn is Lara Coyote. Our website is www.okayode.com.
Okay.
We try to give to do seminars. We try to put out uh posts on social media, just teasers, and then always reach out with a question. We're here to answer.
Thank you so much, Lara, for
Thank you for
giving me
having me.
your time. Honestly, it's more like I shouldn't let you go, but hey. Yeah, at this point in time, Lagos, I know. We'll try and get her back to share more insights, especially for those who want to know how to protect themselves going forward. But
Mhm.
best believe more still lined up for you, not just the music, but also great conversations and great music to keep you company as you journey on your own.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And I love IP.